Hey guys, it's Maris. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees, where I review horror books with a supernatural focus. You probably noticed that my setup looks a little bit different. I have a new mic, very excited about it. It's actually for work, but they're gonna let me use it for my personal stuff, which is really nice of them. It changes color and stuff, so it's just really fun to look at for me. But I hope it also sounds really good too. It'll be my first time using it, so I hope it sounds okay. I am crazy busy and trying to manage a bunch of stuff, but I'm glad that I'm still finding time to make videos. That's great. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing two novellas. One is The Eater of Gods by Dan Franklin. This was sent to me by Cemetery Dance Publications. Thank you so much for sending this to me for my honest review. And the other one is The Haunting of Hacket House by Astrid Addams. This one I picked up on a whim on one of those just, you know what, I kind of like the cover. I checked out the reviews. They seemed pretty decent. And so I just grabbed it. I do have a little bit of a personal update. We are going to be moving soon in the next 2 months to a new location. It's going to be a little bit of a smaller apartment than this one, but I think it's going to have a better floor plan that's going to allow me to have my own set, maybe just like a little space for just set stuff. But that won't be happening for a couple months, but we will be preparing. So I think there will be like a week or two where I might not have any videos. So I'm really excited. We've been here for 4 years. And a few of the things that I really disliked about this place was that the balcony was nice, but we could look directly into the faces of our neighbors like every time we were sitting there, and there was no cover, so the sun was always beating down. So it just wasn't a very private, you know, shady, relaxing balcony. Didn't really see a lot of use because of that. The other thing is the floor plan here is really kind of like, it's just weird. This apartment is actually a mishmash of 2 apartment buildings. So I don't know if it happened during the war, but at some point, part of this building was destroyed and then they kind of just merged it. So that probably is why it's so weird in here, the setup. Yeah, and also that we are on the 5th floor and there's no elevator. Our last vacation, it took us 8 hours to get home, which is like not the norm. Like usually it's 3 hours. And then we got to the door, like the front door of the building, and we were like, oh, it feels so good to be home, so happy. And then we were both like, the stairs. The Eater of Gods begins with an archaeologist named Norman who has decided to go on a trip to Egypt with a few other scholars and a bodyguard to investigate this supposed lost tomb of Kia Aten, the wife of the pharaoh Akhenaten. Norman is not exactly excited to go on this trip though. He just lost his wife to cancer and he is still mourning her and he grieves her every single day. But she was an ancient Egyptian archaeologist and this was her passion. So he's coming to Egypt to complete her work for her and just to give her legacy a sense of completion. Once they get to the tomb, the group is then locked in and they can't get out. This is a very surprising book because you wouldn't really guess by the cover of it, but it's actually a very emotional book. It's kind of a tearjerker. It pulls at your heartstrings. It's really about grief and sadness and loss and missing the one that has left you. And it's this aspect of the story, I think, that makes it very touching and exciting and scary. Norman is a very sympathetic character, and all he wants to do is just go back to the days when him and his wife were happy and healthy together. But that's just not really going to happen. And he thought coming to Egypt, would bring him closer to her. The other characters in the group are also scholars. They speak ancient languages and they've studied all of the ancient texts and everything. It's really cool because I wish that I could be that person that, walks into an ancient tomb and can just be like reading the hieroglyphics, and telling the story of what they mean. There's a lot of that. I'm not sure what you would call it, like this romanticism. I think that a lot of us have from like the movies, like The Mummy and stuff, and also the early movies of like the 1920s and 30s. And this book has a lot of that. There's booby traps. There's like a tomb with secrets. There's, you know, something going on that is connected to the history and to the mysticism of ancient Egypt. And it's very fun. It is pretty creepy and it has its scary moments. It's a little gruesome in some parts. It's pretty exciting. I really liked the story. I liked the story from beginning to end, just how everything is kind of coming together. It was very satisfying, and the ending is very satisfying as well. Like I said, this is a tearjerker, so I will put a warning out there if you've lost someone recently or you had lost someone specifically to cancer. This might pull up memories for you and things like that. It's very vulnerable, and it did get my eyes watery because there were just certain moments where it just touched me. You know, it was just very touching. The writing style is very nice. There's nothing particularly like about it that makes it stand out, but it's written very, very well, and it has some really beautiful lines in there. And the characters, they all like feel pretty good, you know, like they feel pretty solid and they make sense. And also the atmosphere is done really well, and also the setting. So we have this setting in Egypt, and it really makes you feel like you're there, you know, with the way that it's described. I think sometimes for me that can be hard for me to imagine. And so I'm always really thrilled when I can just start reading something and the images are just coming. So I really enjoy this. It's wonderful. It's adventurous. It's spooky. If you love ancient Egypt, you're going to really like this. It's going to, I think, tick off all those boxes for you. The Haunting of Hacket House. This story is about Jane. She is a live-in caretaker. She usually stays with people who have dementia or have some kind of disability that doesn't allow them to take care of themselves in their older age. She applies for a new job at a place called the Hacket House and is accepted. And when she arrives, she is brought up by a driver or a butler of some sorts to this house. And the house is so strange, and so is the property, because everything from the property line to the house is just red. The wood is red, the earth is red, the house is red, everything is red. Once she gets inside of the house, the strangeness does not stop. The house has a very particular kind of decorating. Every single space on the walls are covered by clocks. And not just clocks that you buy at a store, these beautiful, well-crafted clocks. And they're all ticking. And it gives this sound almost like a hive inside of the house. Jane gets to meet her patient, who is this older gentleman who has been bedridden for a very long time. His body is just very contorted, and he is suffering from dementia. But one night she stumbles into his room, where he's surrounded by people in these black hoods, and she decides to find out what's going on. This was so good. I really enjoyed this. If you liked the Netflix series The Haunting of Hill House, I think you will like this. It has the same vibe. There's like a very similar, like, I don't know, like sort of the characters kind of have the same kind of feel to them, and the house and everything that's kind of going on. It has that, I don't know what to call it exactly. It's this sort of like eeriness, timelessness, you know? There were so many layers to this book. There were so many things going on, so many little details. I feel like it was just very realized for this author, this story. And it just felt like a very heavy book. Like, not heavy in the sense that it was like, you know, like really emotionally heavy or just like, you know, too bogged down or something. No, I just mean like it felt like a lot happens in this like 130 pages or whatever. It's such a small, tiny book. But it's fascinating. It was really fascinating to see what happens. We have things like a little village that's not too far that is super weird and super bizarre and functions in a very strange way. And we also have some type of secret that Jane is holding that we don't find out what it is for a while, but it does like trickle up, through the beginning of the book. It's like it's hinted at, but of course you're not going to know until the end. Sometimes those little tidbits were a little confusing, I have to say, but it wasn't really too much to like criticize. I think it was just a little bit. And there's also some things in the book that were a little shocking, in the sense that, because just the way the book was written, like I didn't expect it to have these moments of just gruesomeness or just really messed upness, like these some details here and there. It's not a lot, but it does go a little bit darker than I expected, and I truly love that. I think it was a very good balance, and a main character, Jane, who is not afraid to face these things. This live-in nurse, and she has seen some shit. She has seen some shit. She has smelled some shit. She knows a lot about death and the grotesqueness of it, and just what that visual can be like. She's been through a lot, so she's not afraid to face it. And the ending was, I thought it was cool. I actually kind of got emotional at the end. I don't know what was going on with me with these two books, but these two might press those tear buttons a little bit. So those are my reviews for these two novellas. If you like this video, please like and comment down below. Let me know if you've read these. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I really, really do appreciate it. Please take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.